welcomed his former boss back to the White House today.
The president unveiled the official portraits of former President Barack Obama and former First Lady Michelle Obama. These portraits will hang in the White House. Traditionally, these are revealed during the subsequent administration, but former President Trump never held the ceremony. The president and former president both spoke at the unveiling.
Jill and I have been waiting to host events at the White House for a long time, coming out of the pandemic. And it's fitting that we can do that now by unveiling the portraits of two dear friends and two great Americans.
I want to thank Sharon Sprung for capturing everything I love about Michelle. Her grace, her intelligence, and the fact that she's fine.
Let's bring in Stuart McCollum. He is president of the White House Historical Association. Stuart, welcome. It's really good to see you. We saw you in the East Room as well. First of all, tell us about this moment. It has been years in the making. There were delays because of COVID and challenges that I know you and the Historical Association had to overcome. How are you feeling now that these portraits have finally been revealed to the public?
Well, as you saw, it was quite a magical moment in the East Room today with the Bidens and the Obamas, so many of their staff that worked with them for 8 years. And taking place there was the unveiling of these amazing portraits that continue this legacy of our presidents and first ladies and their portraits that hang in the White House from George and Martha Washington now through the Obamas. And as I left the White House just a moment ago, those portraits have been moved from the East Room, and both are already hanging in their places of honor in that gallery of presidents and first ladies.
That's very, very exciting. Let's dive into these portraits a little bit, if you will. First off, tell us about the artist Robert McCurdy and why you commissioned him for the portrait of former President Obama.
Well, the portrait artists are actually selected by the former president and first lady themselves. The process does begin before they leave the White House. We talk with their staff about the contract that we will have with the artist, what's involved, the parameters, the size, the medium that they could or could not use, and they select the artist themselves. And so President Obama selected Robert McCurdy, who is known for these very backgroundless portraits, and with the subject front and center, looking square at the artist, square at the viewer, and captures almost in a photographic quality the image of President Obama.
And tell us about the portrait of former First Lady Michelle Obama by artist Sharon Sprung. Tell us about what drew the First Lady to her, and also, as I understand it, something that the former First Lady mentioned, this delay in actually getting the finished portrait to the point where it could be unveiled and revealed to the public today.
Well, there are two sets of portraits that are done. The National Portrait Gallery does a set pretty much right after a presidency. Ours take a little bit longer. We are a nonprofit, nonpartisan organization. We don't have taxpayer funding, but we also don't expend top dollar. So we make sure that we have the best artists, but we keep the fee that we pay very low. We think it's a significant honor for portrait artists to have their work hanging perpetually in the White House. So Mrs. Obama selected Sharon Sprung. She's a Brooklyn artist, and they had a wonderful rapport in this process. And I think what resulted was a portrait that captures Mrs. Obama just as President Obama described today. Each of these portraits is unique to them. They're both on different timetables. One took longer than the other. But in the end, on this day, this very special day, September 7th, 2022, we have added new White House history to this extraordinary collection. You know, I have no doubt that President and Mrs. Obama rushed by these portraits every day they were in the White House. And today they see them a bit differently. They see themselves among these great works of art of every single president and first lady since our very first president.
It really is a great tradition. And speaking of every single president and first lady, yesterday reporters asked White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre if President Biden would hold a ceremony for former President Trump's portrait unveiling. She did defer that question to the White House Historical Association. So do you have any update on when the 45th president's official portrait might be revealed?
No, I don't have that crystal ball, but I do know that just as every other president, President and Mrs. Trump were advised of the process and to how to identify artists and artists that would be then selected and contracted with, and that process would begin when they are ready to begin. So in due time, their portraits will be completed, and there will be a revelation ceremony here at the White House, just like we saw today. We do not put a timetable on that. In terms of the timing, to me, whether the Obama portraits were revealed today or a year ago or 3 years ago, the important thing is now they're revealed. And in terms of time, they're going to hang in the White House from now for generations forward, and that's what's important.
Absolutely. Do you know if former President Trump and the former First Lady have selected artists yet, or you don't know that information?
Well, I do know there have been conversations, and that process is underway, and exactly where that is in terms of the evolution of that process, I can't tell you, but we are the contracting entity with these artists. And one of the things that I just want to give a shout out to Robert and Sharon, our artists of today's portraits, is they kept this very tight-lipped and secret for a long time. And can you imagine creating something so wonderful and so beautiful and not being able to tell the world about it for such a long time? So we're happy to celebrate them today along with the Obamas.
Absolutely. Now the world knows, and the world can see those beautiful portraits.
That's right.
Stuart McLaurin, thank you so much for joining us, and congratulations on this happy day for you all.